Welcome back to Sports Blitz Live, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and SNS Discount Tire. Glad to have Eltoro Freeman back up here. And in the Auburn Blitz segment, we're going to welcome in Andy Graham here. Auburn Blitz segment sponsored by Dane Sharp, attorney at law. Make sure you go down and see Dane Sharp for all your legal needs right there across the street from the Tallapoosa County Courthouse. And again, the Auburn Blitz segment sponsored by Dane Sharp each and every week. Andy, glad to have you part of the program again. Well, Andy, again, the exclamation mark to a pitiful season for the Auburn Tigers concluded up in Tuscaloosa this past weekend. I don't think it was a shock to anybody on how the game turned out. I missed it by 7 points. I said 56-0, and it ended up being 49-0. So, and I think yours was 100-0. I saw your email where you wanted to retract it. But in all seriousness, Andy and Eltoro, one of the things that you look at here in this game was no effort by Auburn whatsoever on the field. There was no emotion in the game, period. It was just kind of stale. Alabama jumped out quick, and pretty much it was over about 3 or 4 minutes into the game, and everybody knew it, and everybody was just ready for the clock to run out.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely right. Auburn provided no resistance whatsoever. I don't think I've ever seen a game quite like that from an Auburn perspective. I guess, it appears that Auburn was beaten mentally and physically and emotionally after the Texas A&M game, or before maybe, because that's how they played in that game. But you saw in those last 3 SEC games as little effort and as little competition as I've ever seen from any team in the SEC, really. Even in the years that Kentucky and Vanderbilt have been so bad, they have put up a better fight. I think, we talked about it Saturday before the game, and I told you that I was unconvinced that they were going to pull the trigger on Chizik. But after after watching that game, there was no other alternative.
No, I don't think there was an alternative, Eltoro, because I think the players sent a message.
Oh, yeah.
I think the players sent a message, as Andy said, maybe a few weeks ago, giving up on that coach, giving up maybe on that staff, and saying, look, we're tired of it. If we have to force a change, we're going to force a change just by the performance. I know that's not the mentality you want to have as a player. I know that's not what you had when you played on the field, because as Austin talked just a minute ago off the air, last year's Georgia game seemed to me that in us that you were one of the only ones on the field giving 110% effort. You had a great football game. The only problem was you didn't have anybody around you that helped you. So you started to see some of the things kind of build and boil and come to a head last year. Auburn was able to manage an 8-5 record, but it was different than the 8-5 record in 2009. And the 8-5 2009 record was a competitive record. This 8-5 record last year, the 5 losses were not competitive. You knew that just as well as anybody. And, of course, it led into what we saw this year.
You know what, Brett? Everybody talked about, Chizik just won another championship 2 years ago, and now we come to this. But think about the national championship season for us defensively.
Yeah.
We was trailing every game.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton, I don't want to put all his shoulder up. We went with Cam, but he was a major part of the whole team.
No doubt about it.
Because he got to come behind. We giving up 4 and 5. We gave up 3 touchdowns and a field goal to Alabama in the first half. We're going in overtime with Kentucky.
Yeah, I know.
So it's the only thing.
The writing was on the wall. Right. It got masked by the winning.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
The winning
while we was winning, didn't nobody really pay attention to anything because we was winning.
Yep.
But it been bad.
And it wasn't addressing the problems. And Andy, back to you. That's part of it. Again, sometimes it's smoke and mirrors. But when everything's going great and you're able to pull off wins, nobody's talking about the bad things. But the bad things were going on behind the scenes. And eventually, if you've got a small fire over here in the corner, eventually that thing's going to become a big blaze. And that's exactly what happened this year.
That's true. We're finding out more and more. I heard, you and Eltoro talked about it at the beginning of the show, about a lot of the things that are coming out and talking about it. And I'd be interested. I read something else the other day about, I don't know if it was in the same Skarbinski article, but about Chizik coming in and changing defensive schemes or game in defensive alignments in the game plan midweek, and I before Ted Roof left, and I was wondering if Eltoro could speak on that, or if that took place while he was there.
Well, I think everybody, and Eltoro, I'm going to kick it to you. I think all of us owe Ted Roof an apology. I mean, seriously, because, Penn State, I want to just switch gears for a second. If Penn State does what they need to do and take care of business against a very bad Virginia team and a very average Ohio team, I know there was a lot of emotion tied in that game. Penn State's 10-2 this year. I mean, they're 10-2 with a loss to Ohio State and one other team. I can't remember who it is that they lost to. But 10-2 coming off this. And Ted Roof, frankly, had a tremendous year. And now we're finding out, just like Andy said and Kevin Skarbinski, and now I think you can attest to it publicly, there was so much confusion about who's saying what and what's going on that Ted Roof didn't know what to do because Gene Chizik would come in and change everything.
It was confusing all the time, and I know that we could be going over a defensive game plan on how we're going to defeat an opponent, and Friday before the game, we done changed the whole thing, and you got players out there confused, and just like it is now, you see the safeties, you see the linebackers, everybody are confused. And that's come from poor coaching.
Well, and I mean, there was one play that stood out in the Iron Bowl last year, last year, and I think it was a 2-point conversion by Alabama, and you were looking for the call, and nobody was sending you a call, and by the time whatever call came in, it was too late.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy was wide open in the end zone.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's hard to put all of this. It's partly to blame on players because you can go out there and you can try. But the situation at hand precluded what you saw on the field this year.
Because let me tell you, Brett, we have athletes down there. I'm telling you, we have athletes and we got guys that can get it done, man. But, it's like Auburn just takes the juice out of you, man. They take at the time, they kill your confidence. I mean, they just kill everything, no energy, no nothing, and how we practice is it's just bad, man. It's just bad. And I don't talk to a lot of players, that's on the team now, and basically they were saying the same thing, some of the stuff that I experienced down there and some of the stuff that I went through, you know what I'm saying? And I just tell them, man, you can't, whatever the situation is, you can't let the situation steal your joy. For the game and the love for the game and the passion that you have for the game, and that happened to me my senior season at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
I was letting situations and circumstances, actually steal the joy and the love that I had for the game. Until I had a talk with my brother, the close people,
people
my mom,
that you can rely
on,
right?
And it came to a point where it didn't matter how many snaps I played or how long I was on the field.
Yeah.
I was gonna have fun and I was gonna play the game like I always played the game.
Yeah.
And that was a big difference in the play. Oh yeah.
Well, we could see it on the field, and I'm gonna ask you a question, and if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. Just say, I'll just have no comment. Did Gene Chizik lose control? Did Gene Chizik lose control of that program?
I definitely think so. When you got guys laying down like that, that's a reflection of the coach. Let me tell you something. You can have the biggest bully in the school, you know what I'm saying, and he can be on the playground and you can be on the playground. But if you got your big brother out there, just hanging around, and that bully picks a fight with you, you're going to give everything you got because you got your big brother watching you.
You got somebody behind you.
Exactly, and you fear your big brother.
Yeah.
For going home and, getting
Austin feels the same way when Luke's around.
And see, you don't have that. You don't have that at Auburn, man. They don't fear him.
Well, and that's an issue. Andy, back over to you. Let's talk about some of these coaches now that Gene Chizik's gone. The axe has been dropped. Jay Jacobs with a press conference. One thing I noticed about Jay Jacobs is, to me, he looked like a guy that's been told that he's gone too. I know that at Texas A&M, they allowed the AD to stay around. They hired Kevin Sumlin, then the AD was gone. This search committee with Bo Jackson, Pat Sullivan, and Matt Crawford that came in and to find the next football coach, it looked like he was given orders of what to say in that press conference. Tim Jackson, no longer part of the football program, has been removed. He was real blunt about what he said about that. All of this stuff that we've all been seeing for 3 to 4 years came to a head this past weekend in this press conference, Andy.
Yeah, I'm sure you got the letter, that Jacob sent out, and I thought it was a little disingenuous. It was I, made the recommendation. It was I had the decision, and I told Coach Chizik that his time was coming to an end, and I did this and I did that, and I was just thinking
he
to myself,
didn't do anything.
Jack, come on. I love the fact that there's a search committee and more voices are being heard than just Jay Jacobs. But it does. I'm a little pessimistic into thinking that that this may be just a shield for Jacobs, in that saying, well, just in case the next coach doesn't work out, he can say, oh well, Pat Sullivan was all for this, Bo Jackson was all. The Auburn's 2 favorite sons were all for this. So it's kind of removes some of the accountability for himself. But I hope I'm wrong there. But
you're not the first person I've heard say that today, by the way.
Okay. Well, I think it's good that I know for a fact that Pat Sullivan has integrity, and I'm pretty sure Bo does too. I don't know, him, personally, but I think those 2 guys bring some sense of where Auburn needs to go, and to have some integrity about the search.
Andy and Eltoro, real quick, coaches out there, I think Auburn's going to make a decision pretty quick. A lot of people seem to think things have already been in the works with certain coaches, and Bobby Petrino being named is one of the ones at the very top of the list, along with Jimbo Fisher and of course Gus Malzahn. Any other names you want to add in there?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Well, I think, I heard today Gary Patterson, from TCU, although, he interviewed when Chizik was hired, but from what I understand, his interview didn't go real well. So I think, from everything that I'm hearing, especially listening to Eltoro talk about the team and what he experienced, Auburn needs somebody like a Jeff Fisher. I don't know if he's a legitimate candidate, but somebody with a very strong personality to come in and that will really take hold of this team, because you not only have to come in and prepare well, you not only have to come in and recruit well, but you're going to have to repair the psyche and the mentality of a broken team. So I think we need somebody like that. I don't know if he's a candidate. My Chris Peterson is the man that I want.
A lot of people mention him for Arkansas and as well. But Andy, I tell you what, we appreciate you being part of the program, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, and I'll get Eltoro's input, and then we'll call the Auburn Blitz segment a night here tonight. But Andy, appreciate you being part of the program.
Always.
Thank you so much, and Andy, with us, pretty much from now on throughout the rest of the year, talking about other sports. Eltoro, real quick. Who would you like to see as the next man at Auburn?
Well, first of all, Auburn is built off. It's a blue-collar school, and it's built off hard work, man, and hard work. And I said it twice. And I think the guy I like is James Franklin from Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I think that if he can turn guys around that not as athletic as the Auburn, because I think we recruit better than Vanderbilt. So I think we got more athletic guys than Vanderbilt. If he can turn those guys around and get those guys to fight and to win ball games, I think he can do a tremendous job.
I like that too. There's a lot of great candidates out there. James Franklin, I think, would definitely be a great hire for Auburn. But Eltoro, again, always a pleasure having you on. A lot of interesting stuff going on. We'll be following this story closely and keeping it up. But again, Auburn Blitz sponsored by Dane Sharp, attorney at law. We appreciate him. We come back. It'll be the Alabama Blitz segment, and Luke will come back up here, and we'll talk Alabama football. And a lot of people want to talk about Alabama moving into the SEC championship game, again, with a chance to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. I know Alabama didn't go to this game last year, but ended up playing for a national championship. This year they have the opportunity to go play in what is, in essence, a national semifinal game against the Georgia Bulldogs. But stay tuned. More Sports Blitz Live presented by JR's and SNS Discount Tire right after this.